Hi there, this is Ranjit, and welcome to the fourth live monthly tech report. And I'm joined by Amit Bhavani and Abhishek Bhatnagar. And we'll be talking about the devices that we have tested this month. And there are quite a few devices. And the first device that we'll talk about is the Xiaomi Redmi 1S. That's going to be soon launched in India. But both Abhishek and even Amit have that device with them. So Amit, why don't you just talk about it? It's going to be one of the hottest, entry-level Android phone, in my opinion.
I would say, Ranjit, that this would not just be the hottest, but this would be the only device people would be willing to purchase, considering that it's one of the best value for money smartphone at this price point. We were expecting it to be launched at 6,999, which they had officially mentioned, but now it's being listed at 5,999, which makes it one of the best value for money smartphone, I would say, considering the hardware, which is comparable with the Moto G, which was priced at around 12,000 or 13,000 rupees, and then in terms of all the features plus the MIUI, the fluid UI, which offers you with a very good experience, this would be one of the best smartphones. And when I was testing it, I liked every aspect of it. In fact, if you are owning a Mi3, then you may be feeling bad that this doesn't offer you an option of expanding the internal storage, while the Redmi 1S also offers that feature. So overall, this would be one of the best smartphones, I would say, right now at this price point. The only sad part, or the only con, I would say, is the availability. You
Yeah,
would
it's
have
going to be a marathon again.
pay for this, and if you're very lucky, then you may win one of these. It's not that you're paying for this; you may be winning one of these smartphones, because it's like a lottery. Lakhs of people wait for it, and then Flipkart gives you those kind of issues.
Amit, you have the device in your hand. Can you just show it
No,
to the
not right
audience?
now, because it's not right now, at least with
You
me.
don't have it. Abhishek, I think so. You also handled this device, Redmi. So what do you think about it?
So Redmi 1S is definitely one of the decent phone you can buy. As of now, it is the best phone as per me. I compare it with Zenfone 4 and Motorola Moto E, which is available in the market. Again, this phone is going to come to the market in limited stock, but most probably, as per the announcement which we have got from Xiaomi, they have told us that they will be selling around 40,000 units of this phone, which should be good enough. So in terms of demand, but again, it will not meet the complete demand. That is something which I'm sure about it. So this phone, as per the price, definitely offer you a very good hardware specification, a very good software as well. And one thing which is different about Xiaomi as compared to other brands is that they are ready to listen to the consumers. So in case you have any problem, in case you would like to suggest anything when it comes to the software, they are willing to add that feature. They're willing to listen to you, and they have a complete community around it. So all these things actually make this phone slightly better as compared to a touch-based UI laggy phone which you might buy just because it is coming from Samsung. I would say this phone is pretty good on the hardware as well as on the software side. And again, the kind of value for money in terms of the camera and in terms of other things like battery and the expandable storage option you get is definitely very good as compared to the other phones which are there in the market in this particular price segment.
Abhishek and Amit, that brings me to a very interesting point regarding the pricing of these phones. Under that, around this Redmi will be for at 6,000. This Mi 3 is around 14,000. What I have noticed is that the Tier 1 brands, established brands, talk about HTC, talk about Samsung, and even Sony. The kind of devices that we are getting around the 10,000 mark, the very poor devices by these manufacturers, and looks like they are not trying to compete now. What do you think?
So I would say that, Ranjit, they have been we are talking about a Tier 1 brand with a brand which has been recently come up in the market, which has planned always to spend no money on
They're not
advertising,
spending anything on
and
marketing,
the whole idea is to create flash sales to make people run for the device rather than companies pushing their products to you and then passing on the commissions to the distribution cycle of maybe like 10 to 15%, then spending 20% on the advertising budgets. So in all these discounts or all these budgets are directly passed on to the consumer by offering them a very discounted priced device. So overall, this sounds good for a very limited period, but again, as you can see, what's the point when I really want to buy a Mi3? I have the money, I have the intent to actually buy it because I have watched everyone's videos or reviews and I have read that it's a fantastic product, but I cannot buy it. I have to go to eBay, spend maybe 20% or 10% higher value price, and then buy one. What's the point of making these flash sales? In fact, if you look into the numbers from Sony and Samsung or any of the bigger brands, they end up with millions of units sold in a year. Talking about Xiaomi, it's generally not really, I don't think it's in the multi-millions, but probably I think MI3 was sold maybe like 2 million units or 1 million unit in their whole course of time. No,
Now it's big. Not in India, but they are pretty big. According to IDC, they are the fifth biggest smartphone manufacturer. But yeah, I agree. Many people are royally pissed. Some of my friends whom I recommended them, they tried two flash sales and they couldn't get it, and they bought it from eBay and. One bought it from a local guy at 16,500. So yes, it's creating that black market, which is not a good thing in my opinion.
The whole ecosystem is disturbed because you really want to buy a device, you're recommended to buy it, and then you really don't get it. So example, we are talking about Redmi 1S, a very recommended smartphone, at least in my opinion, and then we are told that there are 40,000 units coming up. When you talk about a 14,000 rupees smartphone, not everyone would really be interested in spending 14,000 rupees for no reason. But for 6,000 rupees, everyone would be like, okay, let me buy one of these devices. It would be like my backup smartphone. Because at 6,000, what else do you expect? A very good smartphone is coming up, let me buy it. So you may be having a bigger market, but then the units available may be like 40,000 units, plus they would be adding 2-3 lots more. Let's say end up with 2 lakh units. When compared to the other market wherein we see the brands like Samsung or all the tier
they have 10 times
having like 500,000 sales within a few months. So we are talking about, this is not a right comparison here. And then the sad part is we don't have the availability. So the only sad part which I see here is the non-availability of the smartphones, and then Xiaomi should be fixing this. Probably when you say that, now I know many people who had tweeted to me that Amit, I have just paid for the Flipkart First service to get the device in my cart on 1st of September. Isn't that more like a joke? People are spending 500 rupees just to ensure that they would be able to purchase a Redmi 1S.
And to be frank, I am a Flipkart First customer, but I didn't get the link still now for that first step.
And I don't know, I think people are, these are all rumors created that, it would be coming up automatically in your cart since you're registered.
No,
And that part is...
Again, that will also be a flash sale, I guess. Limited units.
No, to the first 2,000 registrations.
Okay.
Doesn't make any sense. We know at least a few thousand people who would have just spent for Flipkart First for this purchase. So overall, it's making no sense, and then end of the day, you are paying for Flipkart First, you are ready on September 1st, you don't get the product, you may be trying for September 2nd, you call up everyone of your contact, and then end up not getting the phone. How sad would you be?
Yeah, I can understand. I got a lot of emails, and even in comments, people are really annoyed at it. So anyways, overall, Abhishek, you also agree it's a fabulous deal, but again, availability is also always a question mark. What do you say?
Availability is definitely a problem with them as of now. They are not able to meet the demands from the Indian consumers. And I asked this question from Hugo Barra, and he said that we actually underestimated the overall demand which we could get for our products in India. This is the answer which he actually gave to me, but again, I don't buy that.
Abhishek, on a contrary, I have been finding that they have been giving different statements to every different person. When we met, we had a different statement. When they had an interview with Times of India, they had a different statement. And then when they say they didn't anticipate this kind of demand, and the next moment they come up with the launch of the same series in Indonesia, and then they've announced that they would be coming to another country. What's the point? You really want to create a hype all over the world. You want to be in the top news segment, and you want to always, keep creating buzz by just selling limited amount of devices. That's the whole marketing idea which I see here. Rather than if they really wanted to, be in India, they would at least first complete the demand, like Moto. You can clearly see Moto
come back very strong in India.
And now today, Asus had generally mentioned today that we wouldn't have these kind of option like we would stop the stocks. We would always be pushing the stocks. So don't worry, the new Zenphones would be always coming. So that is the kind of...
on a side point, I think so the Zenphones also sold a lot in India, and they are a little bit easier to get compared to the Xiaomi phones.
And you know what, Ranjit, people are now worried that, even though the brand mentioned that we are coming up with 30 service centers, I'm referring to Xiaomi, people are worried that, when the company cannot even provide us a product, what kind of service can I get? And then again, I did have some issues with them, and then I was connected by the PR through the head of India.
Yeah, I know about it. I tweeted about it, retweeted.
So I was connected with Manu Kumar Jain, whose response I'm still awaiting on this issue. But overall, what's the point? Okay, I have some good number of followers who had retweeted, and then Xiaomi took into this account. But what about the normal consumers who have been posting on different forums that I have some issue with my SIM card slot or XYZ, and then Flipkart is not giving us the replacement? And then there are people who say that you should directly contact Xiaomi service center. Why would someone go to a service center when Flipkart is
Yeah,
taking the
because Flipkart is
responsibility of
guaranteeing that first 30-day thing. We should
30
honor.
days guarantee? So we should be giving given that kind of service. On the contrary, when you go to US, if some brand is giving that kind of guarantee, like Amazon, they actually give you the replacement without any questions asked. So that's again India and Xiaomi's marketing, which I really am pissed off.
Anyways, okay, that was the Redmi 1S. So let's now move from that to the next story. That is that Mi 3 is already launched in India. We have it right now. The sales are stopped for it, but the Mi 4 is was also launched, and I think so. Amit, you have it, so you talk about it.
I was first talking about the Mi 3. I was just recommending everyone that the Mi 3's flip cover are going to come soon in India. I had pre-ordered one, and also I bought one from eBay. I would recommend not everyone not to purchase it. This is not a magnetic cover. This sticks through a gum film which is coming on the back of this cover. So
You have to
don't
stick it. Wow.
you have to stick it. So does it make sense? After a few days, if I want to remove it, makes no sense. It
Okay.
really looks very bad. The feel and the product is very good, but the way it has to be sticked here makes no sense. This is not a magnetic cover. So just for information,
Okay.
no one should be purchasing this.
I purchased it. Just I got a confirmation that it's shipped.
I read one comment about it. Like Amit posted about this thing on Facebook,
Yes.
and someone actually commented over there that I'm canceling this order because this comes with glue, so I'm going to cancel my order right away.
No,
And they were
seriously,
like,
coming with the glue, I am also reluctant to.
And it was not clearly mentioned that it's coming with glue. That's the sad part. The moment I did an Instagram video on my Twitter account, you can just look into that.
Okay.
It really was a sad moment. I got this a week back. I was like, okay, it's just a cover. Why should I even care about it? It was just kept there. And then today, out of curiosity, I just opened it. I was like shocked. Where's the magnetic option? Generally, either you replace the whole back panel with the cover, or else you get a magnetic option which just sticks there. You don't expect a glue cover, right? And
Yeah.
that is what we get here.
Seriously bad for an official accessory, I would say.
Exactly. This is the official accessory from Xiaomi.
So
M6.
Amit, let's move to the Mi 4. You already have it, I guess. It's not going to be launched as of now in India. End of the year is what we are expecting, November time frame. So your thoughts on Mi 4, and let's compare
And
it to the Mi 3.
I think Ranjit, it would actually get launched because earlier I was like, okay, it's a new flagship smartphone. They're pushing MI3, so MI4 maybe in the first quarter of 2015. But considering that now we are
After the
understood
last quarter of 2014, it's definitely coming in India.
that the whole idea about this brand is that they want to create more buzz and anticipation in the customers. They would first bring this in the country by probably 1 lakh units. That's 100,000 units. So let's talk about the device first. First thing first, this device is of the same screen size as the MI3, and you can clearly see the difference in terms of the size. The MI4 is very compact with a very small bezel and the looks of a iPhone 5s.
In fact, I had the con of this Mi 3 is that thick bezel, so they solved it in Mi 4, I guess.
Exactly. So that has been solved. The only issue is when someone says this, like the other day, someone just saw this in my hand. He was like, "Okay, you're an iPhone fan." I was like, "No, this is not an iPhone. It's Xiaomi." Okay, what is Xiaomi? So that's again a different story altogether. So overall, a very good smartphone, I would say, at this price point. That's $320. But the sad part, you cannot get it at $320. You have to pay $450 or $470 to get one of these, thanks to the same flash sales and all those stuff. Apart from that, overall the device is very good hardware, Snapdragon 801 processor, 3 GB RAM, a very good upgrade, I would say. And if we get it at the official pricing, like the way we have got MI3 in India, expecting the price to be around 20,000 rupees, I would say this would be one of the best smartphones. And then people would not be even interested to purchase the Galaxy S5 or the Xperia Z2 or
High-end phones, 50K.
both of us are using. So makes no sense when we have these kind of products coming in the market. And overall the camera, I was just capturing some photos yesterday at we had a festival here, and I was capturing photos at low light with flash. They came out to be brilliant. In low light condition with flash, it came out to be like a natural photo rather
It's
than
even better than LG G3 because LG G3 does decent in artificial light.
yes, but this was at least better in flash captures.
Okay, great.
I found it to be very natural. Like the soft lighting and everything was perfectly showing up. So overall, I would say this is a very good device. Only if you can get it at that price point. And then
Official price.
that's the official price at maybe like 20,000 rupees. That's $320. The only con which you see right now is that since this is a Chinese unit, it has this issue of Google Play Store not pre-installed. But I have got an OT update yesterday, which gave us the MIUI 6, and even after installing that, I find a lot of bugs. Your users, even on a developer ROM, but still it has to be perfectly set up, right? You don't have to just push it just to make sure that you're pushing all the latest updates to your users.
That I feel is a con with this MIUI. Every week they push out updates. So yes, you might get new functionality, but it'll add some bugs also.
And Ranjit, they are not of just 10 MB, 20 MB like what Samsung or any brand does. They are of 400 MB, 500 MB, 600 MB. Version 18, version 19, version 23, which came up for the MI3, and now we have this version 6. That is the final version. So overall, I would say this is a very good device, and it has a very good camera. I would say it is a very recommended device.
Amit,
and if someone has not,
sorry to interrupt, this Mi4 has an IR blaster. Did you check that? Does it work? The IR blaster?
It didn't work for me because the language was Chinese for me. The application which comes pre-installed. I couldn't use any other application as of now. But the device is in Chinese. It's very hard to really convert everything here.
Okay, I understand that.
Even though we have this.
You want to add anything on this Mi4?
So yeah, I saw the Mi4 at the recent event of the Redmi One S. So Hugo was carrying that particular device. I have not had a chance to actually use the device for a longer time, but I have used it for like an hour or so. So I would say the design of the Mi4 is again comparatively better as compared to Mi 3. Mi 3 again is a very bigger device to hold in one hand because of thicker bezels, which make it almost impossible at times to use this device with one hand, because the bezels are so thick that you can't even actually hold the device in one hand. Like you just forget using that display with one hand. So that is one thing which I see improving on the Mi 4. Again, the camera performance on the unit which I tested was also pretty decent and slightly better than what I have seen on Mi 3. So in all, it is definitely a better upgrade. Once it comes to the Indian market, it should be at the right price. It should be less than 20,000 rupees. This is something which I expect. And again, it will take quite a long time to actually make this phone come into the Indian market. Again, 2 months from now on, we can expect this phone to come in the market. I think by end of December or early January.
End of November or early December. That's what I heard also.
Right.
So, again, okay. So overall, I would say it's a very nice device, good upgrade, and killer device for the price if you can get it officially.
Exactly.
One question I have, Amit, because you're using it, maybe if you have been using this regularly, regarding the battery life, did you find an increase over the Mi 3?
I find it's almost same when you compare it. Both of these devices end up
very good battery life. Mi 3, I'm getting very good battery life.
Yep. It's almost the same. Only one difference what I find on both of these devices is that when you use a Mi 3 and when you close up all the applications running in the background, you end up with around 1.3 to 1.4 GB at times out of the 2 GB available. That's the availability of the RAM for the user. But in case of the Mi4, you get around 1.8 or 2 GB. So the
it has
user
3 gigs of RAM, no? That's why.
So by default, it takes more RAM on an average when compared with the Mi3. So it's kind of not totally optimized, I would say. But maybe down the line it would be
maybe you're using the developer ROM, maybe because of
that. There's the Mi6, so maybe that would be the reason. But overall, when you talk about the battery, it's pretty brilliant. At 3000 mAh is pretty good.
So very interesting. So now let's move. Okay, can you add or do we move to the next topic?
I was just saying that the only con what I face is that like Mi3, even though it has a very big design and a large bezel, it still has a unique design. We don't find that design on any other smartphone. But when you talk about Mi4, it clearly resembles the iPhone.
I would say a mix of iPhone and some of the Nokia Lumia devices.
I would say Samsung. If you see the back section, the camera part.
Note, looks like Note.
So yes, but at least normally people look on the front side and it clearly resembles that. And on the sides again, it is an iPhone with a steel rim. And the only con again is the speaker. It's pretty low when compared with the Mi3.
Abhishek has some point. Abhishek, you were mentioning something?
Yeah. So I have an iPhone 5 with me, and I have actually seen the Mi 4 as well. One thing I can say is that one thing which I like about Mi 4 as compared to this one is that if you compare both of these phones side by side, you can see that the Mi 4 actually has less thick bezels as compared to an iPhone as of now.
But then it misses the home button, which is by far my favorite. It has no
So,
home.
yeah. So some people always want the home button just like me as well, but there are people who are happy with the touch capacitive buttons as well. Those who use Android phones, they are kind of
Exactly.
happy. Yeah.
So on the same lines, let's talk about the latest news that phone. Primarily calling it as a selfie phone.
Yeah.
It comes with a 5 megapixel front camera. So let's talk about that. Ranjit, what are your thoughts about a selfie phone? So you don't have to bring your G3 everywhere. You have a selfie phone now.
Again, it's marketing selfie phone. Regarding the specs, I was not too impressed. Amit, it is having a front-facing 5 megapixel camera, fine. But from what I heard, it's a fixed focus. It's not an autofocus. And also, regarding video, as you're calling it a selfie phone, in video it's restricted to just 720p. So
But then Ranjit, selfies are generally photos. So ignore the video part.
I take videos. I'll post a full video that I shot with the LG G3's front-facing camera, and you'll be amazed at the quality.
But then you
So
could
why
call
not, when you're calling it a selfie, go give me a full 1080p thing, make
True,
it the best.
True. What about you, Abhishek? What do you think about this phone?
So according to me, the Sony C3 selfie camera phone is actually not a selfie phone, because for phone to be selfie centric, or it should have a very good front camera which can be called as a selfie camera phone. I would say it has to have autofocus first of all. It has to have high definition video recording. It has to have a camera which actually can give you better photos without even requiring the LED flash. So definitely, I don't see anyone using or using a LED flash when they're capturing their selfies. So you don't need LED flash at the front, even if you are capturing your selfie. So LED flash is definitely not required, but autofocus and high definition video recording is something which should be there. I have seen devices in the market like Xiaomi eLife E7, which has an 8 megapixel camera at the front, and I'm not sure whether it has autofocus, but I do doubt that it might have autofocus as well. I'm not able to recollect that as of now. But even that particular phone is actually having a better camera than this one, the Sony C3 selfie camera phone, so-called selfie camera.
Overall, this is just another smartphone which should have been priced at around 10 to 15,000 range, has been surprisingly
24,000.
24,000 rupees. So overall, again, another joke from Sony in terms of pricing. When they rightly priced the Sony Xperia Z2 by offering a bundled up smart band and then launching at 46 or something, finally we have another joke from them launching as Sony C3. Anyway, let's go to the next topic. That's Nokia's latest Lumia smartphone.
It
That's the
is their
Nokia
budget-oriented phone called the Nokia Lumia 530, successor to the 520. 520 actually sold a lot, but again, I don't know what is happening with the Star One companies. I was complaining. The 520, I feel, was a better device compared to this 530. Look at the screen quality. I'm disappointed with the screen quality.
that a
And
live-
I can't. It's bad screen quality.
Or a
View
dummy?
levels are very bad.
No, my question is that a live unit or a dummy? Because it
It's a live unit. So again, I would say display quality was better in the 520. Performance-wise, yes, this is the cheapest phone by Nokia that comes preloaded with Windows 8.1. That is the highlighting factor, I would say. But yeah, RAM is 512 MB. For the sake of it, it has a quad-core processor. But again, I don't know what is happening to the Star One brands. The earlier models that they introduced last year, I felt in overall quality, they were much higher quality compared to the models that we are seeing this year.
So Ranjit, when you mentioned that it comes, it's the lowest priced Windows
7,000.
8.1 smartphone. Does it really make sense? What is the major difference between 8 and 8.1? Does it really make any difference? A consumer would be shifting to 530 from
See,
the
Amit,
530.
actually you don't have to, because Microsoft did promise that all the Lumia devices that run on Windows 8 will get the 8.1 update eventually. So strictly speaking, yeah, I don't see it as an upgrade as of now. But I think so this price will go down, because I purchased it as soon as it was launched and it was for 7,000. So you naturally know what will happen in the next couple of months. So it might
then
be
again-
available for lower than the 520. So that is the
Right,
only
right.
case scenario I have.
But again, Ranjit, I think that that the price drop won't be huge. The only thing is like Nokia did the right pricing for 520, when the market was not that changing, evolving. Like if you
now we have a
offer
lot
the
more options at the 7,000 price mark. That is the thing.
exactly. So what about you, Abhishek? What are your thoughts? You have also been using this 530.
Yeah. So Lumia 520 was the best phone as per me, and 525 was a very good upgrade at that time when I saw the 525 coming. So 530, as of now, if I compare with these two, which are the earlier generation of this particular phone, I would say this phone is not standing anywhere close to a 520 or 525 in terms of what we have actually seen. So the build quality, the overall form factor, we had like touch capacitive buttons which are there on the body of the phone, which are much easier to use. Now you have touch capacitive buttons on the display itself, which are much more difficult to use. And overall value for money for this particular device, I would say as of now, is very low. Because if I was doing a video when I was comparing this device with other devices just on the basis of comparison of the phones at 7,000 rupees. So there was Zenfone 4, there was Redmi 1S, and there was Motorola Moto E. Again, not all of them are at 7,000 rupees, but again some of them are at 6,000 as well. So in terms of comparison, this phone was nowhere close to any of those three phones which is there in the market. So again, it is a different phone altogether. A Windows phone might be a good phone for people out there. I would still suggest you to go for 525 in case you would like to buy a Windows phone rather than going for the 530.
Right.
So that was the Nokia Lumia 530. I think so. Again, Nokia is going the wrong way. They have to maintain the quality what they were doing, and I hope that their next version is not like this. Even in fact, the Samsung Galaxy Core 2, in my opinion, was a downgrade from the Core. And I'm seeing the sad trend with Tarvan brands, at least in the lower segment and the mid segment market. Anyways, let's move to the next topic. That is the Firefox phones. Interesting low cost phones. I think so. Abhishek, you have it, or Amit, you had experience with it?
So my unit will be reaching tomorrow, so I don't have it, and Abhishek has been experiencing it. So the best part is it's a new entry, new OS in India, and that too it's available at a very interesting price of 2,000 rupees.
2,000 and 2,300, I think. So one is by Intex, one is by Spice.
Right. So what?
Abhishek, why don't you talk about it?
Yeah. So Spice launched this phone yesterday only, and Intex has launched it a few days back. So this phone, as of now, is the most ultra affordable phone you can buy from the market when it comes to the price. So this is supposed to be a smartphone for many people out there. Although it does give you a feel of a smartphone, and the OS is also kind of a OS which gives you the kind of interface which you might have seen on Android or on iOS. So again, not exactly same, but in terms of the overall way in which you interact with the icons and you launch application. So in that case, this device is pretty good to offer you that kind of form factor, to offer you that kind of experience at this very, very affordable price point. But
so, Abhishek,
there are...
I have two questions about this. First is about the display, because at this price point, I can only think about Akash kind of products, because you're offering a smartphone at a price of a feature phone. So how is the display for, and the touch sensitivity?
So the display, again, as you suspected, that display is actually not an IPS panel. It is a TFT display, and the moment you look at this display from different angles, you will see the color fading, and the blackening of the display will also happen. So this is the thing. And again, the touchscreen response from the phone is also not very instant. It is not very responsive. And again, if you load certain number of applications on the phone will also give you good amount of lag. So this phone again has applications which are HTML5 based, which are like light application, but you do have the option of installing games from their marketplace, which will come for approximately 4 MB or 3 MB in terms of the size. So they will take up the phone storage. So in that case, when you actually load this phone with more application, even from their own marketplace, the phone will show you good amount of lag. And this is something I've experienced on this phone since yesterday.
So tell me one more thing. A person, normally the target audience for this would be a person who is already using a feature phone and would like to convert to a smartphone. So how is the UI? Is it similar to the Java UI which a normal person gets in a feature phone, or do you find it very compact and Web 2.0 kind of
very touch friendly, like Android or whatever?
Friendly kind of design, like.
So again, it is very much different from the Java OS which you might have seen on the feature phones. So this OS actually gives you a feel that you are using an Android phone. For instance, again, it is not Android. It is just looking like Android in terms of look and feel. So definitely it gives you the smartphone. You have application like Facebook, you have application like YouTube, so that you can watch videos, you can browse Facebook, you can actually use Facebook with the help of the M. Like it actually opens everything in the form of browser. So every application is running in the browser. So it does caches some data as well. But again, most of the application will require internet connectivity, apart from the local application, which are like calculator, calendar, and other things on contacts as well. So you do not find much number of local applications on this phone. Again, the overall experience is just like you are using smartphone, but not as like as you see on Android or on iOS.
Abhishek,
So
what
overall,
about the apps? Because these days smartphone means people like to install some popular apps. You already told me you have Facebook, but people like WhatsApp, let's say Twitter, let's say they want to do browsing. So what about that? Is the app ecosystem very limited as of now? I think so. It should be limited.
So as of now, they have apps, but not too many apps in the App Store. So they have an alternative for WhatsApp as of now. WhatsApp is not there on the platform officially, but they have an alternative application which is called Connect A2. So we have this application which will come pre-installed, so you can use WhatsApp. However, there is no application on on their marketplace for Instagram. So Instagram is not there, which is one of the popular application as of now. But Facebook and WhatsApp are there, and you do have an alternative for Twitter as well.
Okay, one question, Abhishek. This is priced at what, around 2,300, 2,200. We do have a lot of Android phones, very entry-level Android phones at around 3,500. So if you would have to suggest a user between the two, what do you say?
So if you have a budget,
Android phone or this one?
yeah. So if you have a budget which can go above 3,000 rupees, and you can, or even if you can go up to 3,000 rupees, you have some Android phones coming from Cellcon and some of the manufacturers which will come with the Android KitKat, and you can buy an Android phone. I would suggest you to go for that. In case you don't have that budget of more than 2,000 rupees, this is again for people who do not want to buy anything above 2,000 rupees. So it is an ultra affordable phone. Anything, if you have a budget up to 2,000 rupees only, and that is a strict restriction on your end, then you can always go for this one. But again, I can say that this phone will be good unless you actually load this phone with too many applications. So you will see good amount of lag on the phone if you load this phone with too many applications, which you can again download from their own marketplace.
So just to summarize, keep your expectations minimum. Basic browsing is okay, and you have basic apps. But again, if you kind of an advanced user, then this is ideally again as for a person who's moving from a feature phone to the basic smartphone, and he's on a very tight budget, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the Firefox phone. Amit, do you want to add anything on that?
No, nothing else. No, everything is
Okay.
covered, I guess.
So that was the phones, interesting phones. Now there's one more interesting thing, that the Samsung Galaxy K Zoom that we had reviewed earlier, its price has dropped down to 19,000. Amit, so what do you think?
Around
When we
20.
reviewed it, it was 29,000 a month ago, I guess.
Exactly. So around 8 to 9,000 rupees has been temporary discount from Amazon, and I think because this was an exclusive deal with Samsung and Amazon, I think this would be the ending phase of this product at least, and maybe that's the reason they're trying to push off all the stocks at a very limited pricing. So this could be a very good deal, I would say, because this is one of the best phones, I would say, with the best cameras. Only the sad part was the thickness. If this would have been a little bit slimmer than this, then I would have never purchased the G3 and always used this K zoom because of the optical zoom and all the other advanced features.
In
So
fact,
what
yes,
is-
even in my review, I told that this might be what do you say, device for myself as a secondary camera, because
Exactly.
I do have one. I actually carry two phones. So yes, at this price point, if anybody is interested in, I would say right now it's a decent deal.
Yep.
So now let's move to upcoming phones. Actually, September is a crazy month for launches, and the first one I think so we should talk about is the Moto G2, because that would be the most affordable, I guess. Again, these are rumors, guys. It hasn't been launched, so this is info based on the rumors that we have.
Mm-hmm.
So the Moto G2, that is going to be the successor of the Moto G. The Moto G had a 4.5-inch screen, and this, what we heard, will have a 5-inch screen finally. And the biggest one of the cons with the Moto G was the camera. The 5-megapixel camera was just average. So Motorola is bumping up that to 8 megapixels. So hopefully that should be better. And we also heard that it will have a, what do you say, front-firing speaker like what we had on the Moto E. So what do you think, Abhishek and Amit, about the Moto G? Do you think it will be as successful as the Moto G? because at that time last year, at that price point, we did not have very good handsets. Hence, I feel the Moto G was very popular. So, what do you think about the Moto G?
So I would say that this may not be that successful, considering that at the time when Moto G was launched, it was the that's Motorola's entry back in India, and it started with a very big boom with the Flipkart's official exclusive partnership and all the stuff. So it got a good amount of craze, and again the unexpected pricing, which was at par or a little bit lower when compared with the US and the UK pricing. But now I don't think this would be a great hit unless it comes with very good hardware, because we have very good competition right now in India with many amount of good amount of different devices available.
Pricing is not a big advantage now, I think so.
Exactly, and that is the most important motivator, at least in India, for selling your device.
So Abhishek, you want to add, or let's move to Note 4?
Yeah, I would like to add something. This is again related to the pricing. When Motorola actually last time came with Moto G, it was a kind of a market in which you can play with the price at that time. So there was no other devices which were with this much of hardware available at this particular price point. But now the situation is different. We have Zenfone 5, which is available at 10,000 rupees, which is very good to give a competition to Moto G2 if the hardware does not change. So if the hardware remains the same, if the chipset remains the same, then in that case, Zenfone 5 will give a great competition, which is again available less than 10,000 rupees. When Moto G was launched, it was launched for, I guess, 14,000 rupees or 13,000.
For the 16 GB, 12,500 for the 8 GB variant.
So even if we consider the 12,500 variant of the Moto G, either they have to launch that particular phone below this particular price point, or exactly at this price point, upgrading everything, including the display as well as the hardware. So if they do that, then I would say that would benefit them. But apart from that, if they don't do any of these two things, then definitely it will be a very confused thing what will happen in the market as of now.
So let's see. We'll know definitely, and I think so. We don't have to wait a lot for the Moto G. It's going to come soon in India also after the international launch. I think so. They have a press event on 5th September, if I'm not wrong.
In Delhi, yes.
Yeah. So let's move to the Note 4. I think so. This would be one of the biggest Samsung device for this year.
After the S5.
After the S5. And what do you think, Amit, about the Note 4? Because I think so. You like the Note 3, and actually, in fact, I also like the Note 3. So what do you think about the Note 4?
I have great expectations from Samsung on the Note series, because they have always been doing very good in terms of the Note series. You can see year on year they have never seen the sales drops in the Note series when compared with the Galaxy S series, which we had seen S2, S3 was going good, then S4 was a small drop, and then
S5 is the mid in India.
Unless the S6 comes in a very flexible format and you can just wear it on your wristband or something like that. So talk about the Note 4, I have great expectations, but again, what else are we missing in the smartphones these days? You have a very good stylus, software optimized for the Note. You have a very good hardware on the Note 3. So what else can we expect from this? A laser autofocus, which has come up on the G3, or maybe sapphire glass display, which we had on the iPhone 6. What else are we missing here? So that's the whole point here. When we talked about the S4, we had some points which were missing and we were expecting in the S5, like the performance issues. Note 3 has been giving us great performance, great battery, perfectly priced, a very good stylus when compared with the Note 2 and the Note 1. I don't really find anything missing here unless until there would be something great coming up from Samsung.
Something radical, I don't think so. I can't predict, but one thing we'll definitely start seeing on the Note 4 is that fingerprint scanner. It will come. That fingerprint scanner is on the S5. It's going to come. Trust me. And rumors point to that. I don't know. I don't think so. It'll happen. One part having a curved display or whatever to show notifications. I doubt, but. So, but do you think, Abhishek, let's hear from you, then we'll come back. Note 4, your expectations, what do you think?
So, as far as the numbers I know for the Note 3, Note 3 was not very successful for them as far as sales numbers are concerned. So, definitely they have to do a lot of things as far as design is concerned, because somehow the design has become very monotonous across the major high-end devices which are coming from Samsung, and that was one of the reasons when S5 was not totally accepted in India in terms of as a new device, as a new thing. So I would expect them to come with a metal phone, which they will never do, and this is something which they have been doing for years.
They
So a
might have
metal
metal
phone,
bezels. The bezels might be metal,
yeah,
but I doubt the entire backing and everything will be metal.
yeah. So they have never done that. For some reason, they might be knowing that reason, but I don't know. So they don't come with a metal phone, which is something which people expect, because whenever people think about anything premium, they think about metal, and you cannot actually override that. So that will happen at least in India, because metal is very precious in certain state. So anyways, so talking about this phone, I would love to see the software becoming better. I would love to see the software becoming less obtrusive to the user. You have a lot of
TouchWiz
things
becoming
in the
less
UI.
laggy.
Yeah, so you have a lot of things in the TouchWiz UI which actually in the end make things very confusing for the consumer. So either you give them the option that you have to have these features, or you have enable these features on your own or not. Like, you don't flood them with a lot of UI and a lot of lot of bloatware apps, which actually end up people don't end up using those apps. So in that case, these apps will keep on sitting on your device. They will keep on using the memory, but you don't do anything with them. So it is like a bloatware. It is like a wastage of the storage which you have on the phone. I think again they will not do this thing as well. As per the expectations of the users, they never do anything. They do whatever they think is right. So let's see what happens.
So
Exactly.
okay, so we'll know definitely by next week. We'll have a lot more
That's happening
information
on
about. So
Wednesday. We can do everything.
so anyways, the next big thing is the iPhone 6 launching on September 9th, and many people are excited about it. Finally, we might be getting the larger screen iPhone. So
I,
Aman, because we both have used iPhones, I think so all of us have used iPhones, and yes, to me the 4-inch was a little bit restrictive because after using all these Android phones, uh,
the
so
major reason for me also was the screen size. It's not always about Android, it's always about the screen size. You want a great experience on your device. You are spending at least 2 to 3 hours on an average on your smartphone, either for social networking or normal phones or anything. And then you're limited to just 4 inches. Doesn't make any sense. So yes, the rumors of 4.7 inches should come true. I may not say
4.7,
right.
I'm very sure it will come, but I don't
But
know. I'm not
kind
putting
of
my money on the 5.5 as of
skeptical.
now.
But again, we don't know. Anything can happen. After Steve Jobs, we have seen the iPhone 5C, which I never wanted from Apple. They have been a standard company with very good build and very good kind of products range. And then iPhone 5C was not something which was matching their products line. But again, who knows? We could also
And in
see a
fact,
5.
it tanked because Apple devices are considered to be some quality, some image, and I think so. iPhone 5C was not fulfilling that. That's where I think so it failed.
And so Abhishek is a full timer of his
He's an
primary
iPhone user. Yeah, that's what he's showing.
big
So
fan.
Abhishek,
Exactly. So Abhishek, over to you.
Yeah. So I would love to say anything about iPhone 6. I will definitely buy it at whatever cost it comes for. One thing I'm very happy right now is that I have seen a lot of things from a lot of Android users. I do love Android. I do love Windows Phone as well. With due respect to
Abhishek,
all,
Ranjit, we
hmm.
keep discussing about who are those people who stand in the queues and for purchasing these phones. Who are those people? Who does that? I would be purchasing at any price, as if it's made out of gold.
no, that anyways is not a problem. So the thing is that the phone will become bigger in terms of the screen size, for which I'm very happy. So I am very happy to see iPhone 6 coming. I will definitely go ahead and buy it. And again, for the reason because I do find this phone the most simple phone in the world right now to use. For the past 5 years, I have been using this phone, and I really believe that iPhone is still the best phone to use in terms of simplicity. Again, it has some battery problems which I do agree, and I think those battery problems will be gone, or they will become better in terms of what you get from the phone as far as battery backup is concerned. So I am definitely waiting for the iPhone 6. Let's see. I think we will have the 4.7-inch being announced earlier, and then later on they might 5.5-inch
Bigger
model.
model.
But definitely, I'm looking forward to the 4.7-inch thing, because anything which goes above 5-inch for me, it becomes a very difficult thing to use with one hand. So 4.7-inch display, iPhone should be a good option, and I will definitely go for
But
it.
Abhishek, if you see the designs, like when we had the first iPhone, then the iPhone 3G, and all those designs which had curved kind of designs, rounded corners, and all the stuff, and now it has a very bold design. The 4, 4S, and then 5, 5S. They came out to be very good. Now the rumors of the iPhone 6 have looks which are clearly resembling
Rounded
the
design.
HTC. Sorry.
Rounded design. Again, it's pointing towards a rounded
Little
design.
bit rounded. It's more like the iPhone 5C, a rounded kind of design, and then has the looks of HTC One or the M8. So I don't know. It's unless it has a very good design, I would not even recommend it to someone because what else is
I
left?
actually I agree with you, Amit. I saw the renders, whatever press leaks or whatever, and I did
Yes.
like the design. Design-wise, the 5S has that more industrial design. And
Exactly.
let's okay. We are talking about this iPhone 7. What about this Galaxy Alpha 4.7 that was announced by Samsung? And no news about India launch or whatnot. Any
No,
info?
not yet. So they are first trying to push the Note series, which is a yearly schedule that second,
Okay.
third quarter is the Note series, the first quarter is the prime flagship S series, and now they are bringing in the third category. There's a Metal Edition, there's the Alpha series, should be around year end. So they have like every quarter one major launch. That's a good strategy again for the brand at least, not for the consumers. So we would be expecting the Note also coming in the Metal Edition. So
So you're
overall,
telling we have two versions of Note, Amit?
I am expecting that from Samsung. We can expect everything from Samsung. No, it's
So
not Apple.
So that
Yeah.
was interesting. Amit,
Abhishek,
it's
Abhishek
already
has some
about
point.
45 minutes. So
Uh,
we are having a lot of user questions. Okay, yeah,
Ranjit,
Amit.
one second. Abhishek has some point.
Sure,
yeah,
Amit.
yeah. I have a very small point which I do agree. That is, the iPhone 5 has a very good design. It has very good edges, very good metallic finish. It has. So even if iPhone 6 come with the rounded corners, I would say any phone which goes above 4-inch display, it becomes difficult to hold in hand unless you have rounded corners. This is something which I believe personally. So even if they come with rounded corners, I would welcome that move. If an iPhone 5 will become bigger and it has these kind of edges, which are like having some corners over there, which are chamfered edges to an extent. But again, I will not be very comfortable to hold this phone if it has squarish or rectangle kind of edges as compared to a rounded edges phone, which will give me a better grip. And this is something which I feel personally it could be better. And I
Interesting.
do think that Mi 4 actually has sharp edges.
Exactly, it does have very sharp edges. So
This is
So
we
my
have many other. Recently, we had many other news about different wearable products, but we cannot cover them in this episode. It's almost an hour, like 10 minutes left. So
yeah,
let's talk about take the user questions, Ranjit.
yeah, let's do that. Amit, you start with the first one, then I'll take up one.
Okay, 1 second. Let me just load up the question sections. So Jitendra Singh has a question about Xiaomi, Asus, and a few other product brands aggressively pricing
Okay,
the
I'll just
product.
post that
So,
question. Okay, can everybody see it? Yeah, let's take this. Amit, yeah.
yeah. So what do you guys think about the effect on the whole market? Will companies like Samsung and Sony price their phones like this? So we are already seeing the price drops. The moment Flipkart had officially announced that Xiaomi is coming in India, they themselves had dropped the price of Moto G in India. And I think for some reason from other products also had seen a big drop. So down the line, yes, it does affect the market, but not on a very larger scale because these brands are not pushing millions of units when compared to the brands like Xiaomi and Asus, which is just starting off at least in India, at least for now. What do you say, Ranjit and Abhishek?
Yeah, I think so. The volumes are low, and not every brand. For example, Samsung and Sony, and even LG, they did not do a major price drop of their mid-range devices, and we are still seeing devices like the Xperia T3 or whatever that is with just a Snapdragon 400 processor being priced at 24,000. So yes, it will take some time, and I hope that it does.
yeah.
Right. Next question from Tufail Budu. Sir, do you know when OnePlus is coming in India? Are they going to use the same invite system or a partnership with Flipkart? Talking about the last point, I think everything is going to soon become exclusive to Flipkart because Flipkart is going to deal everything in India. That's going to become an exclusive cart rather than being called as Flipkart. And when we talk about the OnePlus in India, we don't know. We had some rumors and some confirmations that Flipkart is looking to hire someone from India, and then they are going to come up in India, but no confirmation as of now. And I don't really think they would be coming up in India. And even if they come, I'm pretty much sure they would come up with the invite system, because that's what they are born with. We want to always push everything with invite. Even if it's a ALS Ajit Bucket challenge, they do it with the invite system. So everything is invite.
So okay, I'll take this one. This is by Dhruv Sharma, and he says, "Will the Moto G2 and the Moto X Plus One be released in India?" Yes, definitely. The Moto G2 will be releasing very soon, and I expect the X Plus One. Actually, they were just, I think so. Today there was. We are having an event on 5th September, but I do feel that the G2 will be launched immediately in India. If you notice, Flipkart is exhausting the inventory of the earlier Moto G, and the reason is very simple, because the G2 is definitely coming to India.
Right.
Amit, you can take this question because this is by Arshad, and this is regarding the Mi 3, but you have used it on the Mi 4. I'm using the developer ROM. Can they have... I think he's talking about the MIUI 6. Do you recommend as of now?
UI 5. I think this one is, then you should go ahead for it, or you can even install the ROM through the site by sideloading it, and it would perfectly work. It's a lot more better than the earlier version.
Okay, I'll take this question. This is a very generic question that I get. This is by Mr. Mukhtar Moshin. He says, in Xiaomi Redmi 1S, apps can't be sent over to the SD card. Should it be a deal breaker? The thing is that this Xiaomi Redmi comes with KitKat, and it's just not a problem of what is a Xiaomi or some other vendor. With KitKat, Google has actually done this. They have placed a lot of restrictions on what can be moved to the SD card. So it's not just restricted to Xiaomi. Even if you take a Samsung device, Sony device, etc., you just cannot install the entire app to the SD card. Yes, some of the apps, a portion of that can be installed to the SD card, but with the default stock firmware, not the entire app cannot be directly installed to the SD card. For that, you have to do the routing of the device. I hope that info helps.
Right.
Amit, why don't you take the next one?
Trying to find some unique questions. Note 4 is almost out. Okay, not yet. Your views about Redmi device worth 6,000. I would, as we mentioned in the initial part of this video, you can just skip to the first discussion of this video. We have many questions around Redmi 1S, and we have already discussed in detail about that.
I think so. This is a question by Sai Krishna. He says, please give me a valuable suggestion. Is it better to buy the Redmi 1S rather than the Zenfone 4 or the Moto E, according to your suggestion? I'll buy Redmi 1S on Tuesday. I think so. All of us, Amit, as you have reviewed, and as per your saying, you feel that the Redmi 1S is a better device than the Zenfone 4 or the Moto E, right?
Yes, it is for sure. I think we have covered most of the questions.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it.
Sadly, it's not that we are trying to avoid anyone's questions. Most of the time, YouTube has many bugs. It don't show.
Yeah, it just puts in spam folder. The problem is that.
And by the time the Hangout ends, it shows that you have 25 more comments pending.
This is a question by I am Sumant. He says, which is more powerful, LG G2 or a HTC One M8? Very dicey question to answer, I would say, because internally both have the same processor. That's the Snapdragon 801. But yes, the LG G2. LG G2, no, sorry, you're talking about the LG G2. Definitely the HTC One M8 is a powerful device compared to the LG G2. LG G2 had a Snapdragon 800 processor, whereas the HTC One M8 has 801. And the biggest advantage, I would say, in terms of battery life, the HTC One M8 will give you a lot better battery life compared to the LG G2.
Right.
And
almost covered. Nothing else.
This is an issue that I don't know. Lokesh says that he's having a WhatsApp delay notification in the Xiaomi Mi 3. I'm not very sure, Lokesh, why you're having that, because I am getting I'm using the Mi 3. I just got some notifications, and I'm getting the notifications on my device.
Perfectly works for us. So
Yeah, that's
if
what. That's very weird.
you could just do a factory reset and then try it out, or maybe some probably you're running many applications and it's getting clogged up. Maybe, I don't know. I never saw this kind of issue, at least on the MI3 or not even the MI4.
And let me just take this. This is by Pritesh. He says, as you tweeted about changing runtime to ART. In fact, I did that on my, what do you say, LG G3. The default runtime is Dalvik, and I changed it to ART. Yes, it did improve the performance, at least on this LG G3. The thing is that with Dalvik, what do you say, the application is not fully compiled in the machine language. It does it on the runtime. With ART, it pre-compiles it. So technically speaking, it's a little bit faster, but the con with that pre-compiling is that it takes a little bit more storage on your device. But definitely for the LG G3, it did help me from moving from the Dalvik to the ART. But one con as of now with the ART is that some of the games are not fully compatible with ART, so they might crash.
Okay. So I have been using ART from the day I bought this G3. And then I never found any games crashing. Probably it's with some games.
Some of the games I heard some libraries there that's not compatible.
Okay. What about after sales service of MI3? It's only depends on your luck. They have 30 service centers, but not available for in every city. And then the guys have already moved out of India. They are now in Indonesia, so don't expect much from Xiaomi, at least for now.
They last press release they said that they'll add some physical service centers new in Bangalore. Sorry, not in Mumbai, Hyderabad, and one more city.
Yeah, Bangalore they already started one. They also had a demo of MITV.
Mumbai and one more city, they told.
Great. So at least people can have an experience of the physical products before buying it online.
Okay, this is one question I'll take by. This is by Kamesh Kotwani. He says, this is directed towards me. He says, sir, do you regret selling the HTC One M8 if we don't look at the camera? Yes, I would say, yeah, I love the HTC One M8, and still I would say it's one of the best Android phones that I've used in 2014. But the con for me was that the camera performance of the HTC One M8 was not great for me. But if I take out the camera from the equation, yes, still I would say it's one of the best Android phones for 2014. The fluidity is as good as the iPhone 5s. Never I saw an issue of lagginess. It was one of the most responsive Android device that I handled in 2014.
Right.
And second, he's asking me about programming websites or books. Kamesh, it would be really irrelevant because it is almost 20 years ago I did programming, and those books might not be even available. So, and I've just stopped programming. So again, look for it. W3
Right.
Schools at that time for basic was good. I don't even know if that site is alive till now. W3 Schools.
It's alive. It's alive.
It's
So I
alive
think we have
now.
covered all the questions except one question. When are we going to take the ice bucket challenge? And that's yes. We had challenged you. Still prepping. And let's
Okay, so this was the fourth, what do you say, monthly tech report. Next month, tech report will be done on Amit Bhavani's channel by the end of the month. Again, I would suggest that you follow us on Twitter. We'll tweet about it. And again, thank you, Abhishek. Abhishek, are you there? Yes, thanks, Abhishek and Amit for joining us. And we'll see you next month, guys.
Thank you.